Okay, just for you guys to know, tonight will be at 6 instead of 5:30, and then tomorrow will be at 4 instead of in the morning. Okay, we've just found that those seem to be the better times for us to practice with regards to getting recovery and being in the best conditions out here. As everyone knows, we made the decision on the quarterback yesterday, and before I talk about Brett, I just want to say that, really, to us, it was always kind of a four-man competition, and I thought all four of those guys really elevated their play, and I think the competition was good for them, which in turn is good for our team. And when we told them yesterday, we told them as a group, and they all handled it very, very well. Obviously, Richard and Robert, Kevin, were disappointed, but they immediately expressed their support for Brett. They both, Richard has come in already and said, hey, listen, I understand the decision, I support the decision, I think it's the right decision, I don't like the decision, but just know that I'm going to compete my tail off and I'm going to be here if this team needs me. And Kevin hasn't expressed those words to me, but I know that he's feeling them. You can just tell by the way he came out here today. The reason that we decided at this point in time to go with Brett is it's just become obvious to us as a staff that he possesses all the qualities that we're looking for in our starting quarterback, and we've talked about those a lot. First of all, I think that he's got tremendous leadership skills, and I think that his teammates really relate to him, and he plays this game with a real enthusiasm, and it's infectious. And he's got a rare confidence to him, especially for a young guy that hasn't ever taken a snap in college football. And every day that grows. The second thing is I've seen a guy that comes out here and throws the ball with a lot of confidence, a lot of accuracy, and shows tremendous decision-making ability. And we've talked a lot about decision-making ability, and some might wonder what that is. And to me, that doesn't mean that you're always reading the defense right and throwing it to the right spot, but sometimes that's throwing the ball away, or knowing when to run, or when to get out of bounds, or how to get your team out of a bad play or into a good play. And then certainly there is the aspect of reading your progression and getting the ball to the right guy. And he's done a nice job of that with accuracy, with touch. He's still a young, developing quarterback. We just really believe that as he gets more and more playing time, that he's really going to become an outstanding football player for UCLA. And then he's got, an added dimension to him, and that's the ability to run. And, at this level, you'd like it to be pretty and just like it's drawn up on paper with a nice clean pocket all the time, but the reality is that's not how it is in football at this level, and plays break down. And when a play breaks down, you need a quarterback that's not only a threat to stay alive in the pocket and throw the ball down the field, but is also a threat to run the football. And Brett has both of those things. And so it's with those things in mind and what we've seen through the last 22 practices that myself and our offensive staff and our coaching staff as a whole decided that Brett Hundley would be our starting quarterback. So,
Coach, along those lines of his ability to create, are you taking into consideration your offensive line and possible shakiness?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I mean, I think that if you look at our team, you'd say the one area that we need to really work on developing is our offensive line. Right now we've got a lot of guys that are, kind of in and out of the lineup. But our style of offense doesn't demand that someone stay on their block forever. We spread the field out. We try to, take advantage of matchups. But our style of offense does demand that a quarterback have mobility. And, Brett's really got great mobility.
Is there, if you're going to be in this situation with the line, the fact that you have someone like Xavier on the left, if you had to pick one spot where you had your best offensive lineman, that would be it?
Definitely. Your left tackle is typically, you'd like to have him be your most athletic and dependable guy. He doesn't have to be the most physical guy, but he's got to be a guy that can protect the quarterback's blind side. And, fortunately for us, Xavier has stayed healthy. Every day he gets a little better. I think something that I forget and our coaches forget, and, I don't know, you guys probably don't forget it, but he played as a freshman, and then he took 2 years off, and now he's back. It's been a long time since he played football, and it wasn't like this was a guy that had played 3 years and then took a couple years off. He played 1 year. And, that doesn't occur to me enough. You know, I expect him to be at a higher level than he is just because of his age, but his football experience is relatively, relatively nothing. You know, he's been as a freshman. So, but I think he's going to keep getting better and better, and that's where you want him.
Does he talk to you about tackle eligible plays? Cause,
no, we haven't talked about.
They threw one to him in the bowl game.
Did they?
It was a high pass.
Really? Yeah. I mean, Noel's pretty creative. Right now, as you guys know, we are just trying to master our base offense. I mean, we had a reverse in there the other day, but we're not trying to get real tricky. A lot of what we do offensively is deceptive anyway. But I think as we go through the season, we start to feel, good about the foundation that we're doing. Maybe we'll add a tackle eligible down on the goal line or something. But X is athletic and he can catch the ball.
With Hundley designated, were you able to install a little bit more tailor-made for him today?
Not today, no, because we already had our installations planned. But I think as we go forward, we get more into game planning. I think that'll certainly be something that we look at. You're always going to try to tailor your offense and really your defense to the skill sets of your players. And so Brett has a specific skill set, and I think as we go through the season, you'll see us do some things that are tailor-made for what he's able to do.
So now that the starter's named, is the competition going to continue for the backup job?
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked that question, because that is a good question. We've been so much focus has been on who the starter is. We also talked to the guys about that. We haven't named a second, a third, or a fourth yet, and so those guys are going to continue to compete for that position. And I watched them today, and nobody had a hangdog look, and they all competed hard, and I just think that there's 3 really good candidates for that position as well. And you know what? I don't know with any certainty that we'll ever just name a number 2. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But right now our focus is just on supporting Brett and helping him and continuing to compete at all positions.
Is it a significant advantage that Richard and Kevin have the game experience and Jerry doesn't quite?
I would say that that it plays into it for certain. Those guys have been in games and they've played in games, but Jerry is unique. Jerry's a coach's son. His dad was an outstanding quarterback. He's been around this game forever. There's something about Jerry that just tells you that if he were thrown into the fire and had to go out and perform, that he'd do a good job. Whether he'd played a snap of college football or not, he's just got a savvy about him, a calm about him. He doesn't get anxious out there. He keeps his cool. But I think you have to figure in there at some point game experience.
Do you know how many quarterbacks you'll travel with?
I would assume, that's something that we've talked about. I would assume that it would be 4.
Really?
And that would also depend on, what we decide to do with Devin and TJ. You guys had asked a while back about using Devin as a punt returner or a kick returner, maybe some wildcat stuff or things like that. We're not even close to making any decisions on that, but I would say just off the cuff, probably 4.